Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another Tuesday Cruiser Chat with Otram. Trying to think if there's anything newsworthy going on at the shop this past week. And I don't really think there is. We've just been working on reorganizing, getting everything moved and situated to take advantage of the new space. On the other half, we got the lift up and functioning. I guess the one big thing, we drove the 3FE swapped 80 or 3FE swapped 40 around last week, drove around the parking lot. I got everything under the hood cleaned up, buttoned up, loomed, and everything today. I just got to build transfer case shifters, and that thing will be good to go finally. Started assembly on the new short block, the 1FZ we've got. So I got the timing chain, timing cover, oil pans, and all that jazz on that today. So that project's moving along. But other than that, nothing really new news-wise. So whatever questions you guys have got, just let me know, and I'll try to answer them. We did get a set of Trail Taylor's new 100 series upper control arms in and got those installed on Monday. And those are fantastic looking. They look like they're going to be a very nice and durable upper control arm. They look way more stout than like the SPC control arms that we've been using. So yeah, really excited to see how those hold up and they do how they do. They installed super easy, and they're just insanely nicely made. So if you need upper control arms for the front of your 100 series, and I think he does 200 series as well, Trail Taylor has awesome control arms. I think. Hey, how's it going? I don't think there's anything else new. We got an OME BP51 suspension in for a 200 series, so that'll be going on next week. So that'll be cool. How's the Shady 80? The Shady 80 is just hanging out in the parking lot. We moved it into the back shop a week or two ago, just to test to make sure we could pull into the lift where we were planning on putting the lift. That's awesome. But yeah, we used the 80 to figure out where we were going to put the lift, and that's all I've done to it. It's back outside again. We've just been so swamped, I haven't had time to touch it. So at this point, there's no way it's making it to coal mine. But one of these days, eventually, I will start working on it again. We just need to get some of these bigger projects out of the shop so that I can devote some actual time to it. Yeah, no problem with the axle seals. Sorry, I'm going brain dead this evening. You can either wipe it around the outside edge of the seal, or you can do it inside the seat. I normally wipe it around the outer edge of the seal, but I don't know that it makes a huge difference which way you do it. The only real difference, if you wipe it in the seat, the excess is going to smush into the axle housing, where when you wipe it on the outside of the seal, as you drive it in, the excess is going to come out where you can wipe it back off. Not that it makes a huge deal. And Permatex gear oil RTV sealant should be fine for that. I've never used that one, but it's a gear oil resistant RTV, so it should be totally fine. Yeah, you want it as clean and dry as you can get it. Otherwise, it won't really stick. But I just spray it out brake clean and then go back with brake clean on like a paper towel and clean it out, and then you should be good. Can't say that I've ever had an issue getting an oil pan off of an FJ80. I want to say I've only done 3 of them, and 2 of them have been out of the truck, which made it super easy. I've had trouble getting them off like the old 2F and 3F or 3FE, where the cork gasket gets like baked on there. But I've never had a problem getting one off of a 1FC. Are you having trouble with the steel part of the pan or the aluminum upper pan? I do not have a preferred brand of gear oil. At the shop, we just get the 5-gallon buckets. It's CarQuest is what's easiest for us to get. We just get the 5-gallon buckets of 80/90. 3FE. Yes, I have had tons of problems getting oil pans off of a 3FE. I've actually had them rip the oil pan instead of the gasket coming loose. Trying to think. If you can get like a scissor jack between the frame and the oil pan to push sideways, sometimes you can pop you can force the pan sideways and it'll pop loose. But most of the time now when we write for an oil pan gasket, we write an oil pan as well, just in case. And a new oil pan from Toyota is relatively inexpensive. So we do it that way. Because yeah, it's real easy to mangle the oil pan when those gaskets are stuck tight. Sometimes you can drive a pry bar or a chisel through the cork gasket and kind of pry and pop it down that way, but you end up, mangling the lip of the pan. And for the 95/80 rear locker, if it's engaged, but the light is still flashing. Oh, I was going to say change the switch, but it says you already changed the switch. Trying to think. Most likely there's a broken wire and the locker ECU isn't getting the signal that the locker has engaged. Either that or like the crush washer gasket thing is not squishing all the way flat, and the ball detent's not reaching in all the way, but that's a real long shot. I would guess it's in the wiring if you've already done the switch. And yeah, the A442 seems really stout. I want to say we've only swapped out 2 of them. It seems like if you keep, good fresh ATF in them and keep them clean, they hold up fairly well. And yeah, if the front's engaging and the light's not coming on, or the light's on and not flashing, it's just a guess, but I would guess you've got a broken wire somewhere. And yeah, it seems like everybody else does the scissor jack and the oil pan trick too. I forget who told me that one, but it works fairly well. Even I've had that not work before as well, but only once. And I think the time I finally did get that one free is the one that I ripped the oil pan flange. Yeah, distributor cap and rotor is really straightforward on an 80 series. And if you get a Toyota cap and rotor or a good Japanese one, the wire numbers are stamped right on top of the cap. So you can just match the wires back up if you've still got the factory wires, because the factory wires are numbered as well. So you can just match number to number. If you don't have factory wires or a factory cap, just hold the caps next to each other and swap one wire at a time over to make sure you keep the firing order right. But otherwise, pretty straightforward. I keep the dust packing in stock. It's not something we normally change because usually they're in decent shape. I think we've got one because our local dealer at one point was like, "Oh yeah, you need this too," and we got in there and it was fine, so we just threw it in the parts bin. But yeah, not something that normally needs to get changed. Of course, now they're getting old enough that they're starting to dry rot, but we haven't seen any that were just completely destroyed yet. There was something else I was going to say about that, and it just escaped me. But yeah, you'll know it when you take the cap off. The dust packing is just a little rubber like O-ring that stays on the distributor itself, and it's just a really skinny O-ring. And if yours is dry rotted and cracked and falls off, you need a new one. But I haven't seen one that bad yet, and no problem. Oh, and I am ready for a nap. It was a long day of looming and cleaning up a wiring harness and getting everything straightened out under hood on that 3FE swap. And now I'm brain dead and ready for a nap. The Shady 80 fund is quite low. A couple of people have donated though, which was super awesome. So yeah, I've got that set aside, and yeah, just I haven't had time to even pull the Shady 80 in to do anything to it. We've been so slammed, we haven't had any free inside space. And then you got people's dads coming down to wax their trucks because they don't want to do it outside. But no, sooner or later the Shady 80 will get built. Just not quite yet. Any insights on an 80 series with a blown head gasket? I've seen them where a mild leak turned into a big leak, and then it wouldn't turn over because it hydrolocked the cylinder that it filled up. Actually, my mom's old 80 did it. She parked it at the store, like drove it to the store fine, parked it, went inside, came out, and just clunk, 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 wouldn't turn over because the head gasket had completely popped and hydrolocked the cylinder. So yeah, I've seen it in person. I don't think it's super common. Usually it's a slower leak first. The oil pump seal on a 1FZ, it isn't terrible. The Phillips screws can be a pain to get out. And the front crank bolt is a pain to loosen and tighten. But yeah, like everybody's saying, JIS bits and an impact driver usually takes them out just fine. And we sell a crank holding tool on the website to make it easier to break the crank bolt loose and to torque it back, which makes it super awesome. With the 3FE swap, what do we do with the old 3FE? We didn't actually have an old 3FE. It was a 1F that came out. It's in a 73 FJ40. So we swapped in a 3FE, an H55F, and a split case. It's hard to say about further damage from the hydrolock. The one, or I guess the couple I've seen had further damage, but it's one of those you're definitely going to want to measure the piston height on them to make sure that you didn't bend a rod. Oil cooler is not terrible to change. I've never actually done it in the truck. Whenever we've regasketed one, it's always been with an engine on the stand. I'm pretty sure you're going to have to pull the front exhaust manifold, but I could be wrong. But it's bolt on off. There's nothing super difficult about it. And yeah, we've done the replacement oil pump cover screws. Half the time though, we just use the factory Toyota ones, because with the right JIS bits, they're not usually bad to get out. Yeah, what are you looking for feedback on, Zach? Oh, never mind. I mean, I would just check all the fluids, jack up all four corners, and shake the wheel bearings, shake the tie rod ends. Yeah, check the knuckle studs. Give your drive shaft U-joints a shake, and you've got to have, like if you're checking the rear drive shaft, you've got to have a rear tire off the ground when you shake the U-joints. Otherwise, the all-wheel drive keeps the tension on the U-joints, and you won't be able to feel any play. But yeah, I mean, I would just check fluids, give your belts a once over, check them out, check hoses, look for any weeping. But yeah, that's all I can think of. Oh yeah, that's a good call. The pesky heater hose would suck on the side of the road if that one hasn't been done. JIS bits are the best for doing the oil pump. I don't actually have any number 3 JIS impact bits. I've got the JIS hand screwdrivers, but I don't have the impact bits. I just use a normal number 3 Phillips. And maybe I've gotten lucky. But yeah, I just, clean out the Phillips really well, tap the bit into the screw with a brass hammer, give it a couple good raps to seat it, and then hit it with a 3/8 cordless impact, and usually they come out. It does chew up the bit though, so you've got to replace the bit every so often. Yeah, clean it with the brake clean so it's dry is a great tip. And have a few spare bits, because I'm really good at shattering the bits. Yeah, you should be fine with some fine sandpaper to get the burrs out. You just want to make sure you rinse all the the grit out when you're done. But I've gone in there with a die grinder before when burr fields have broken and really torn up the inside. Could be the O-ring behind the timing cover, or it could be the distributor O-ring. The O-ring behind the timing cover, if you look down, like behind the belt tensioner for the alternator, where the timing cover comes together, like right above where the power steering pump is, you'll see a notch in the timing cover, like between the timing cover and the block, like a little groove, like that you would use to pry it apart to split it. Whenever I've seen that O-ring in the timing cover leak, it leaks and fills up that little groove and then spills over. And it's a pressurized leak, so it's usually got, some force behind it. So if you clean that groove out real well and watch with the engine running, usually you can watch it seep and fill that groove back up. And it is not a fun job. I don't know of a source for the PDF version of the 80 series manual. I'm sure on I Hate Mud, there's somebody that posted it, but I haven't ever gone looking. We've got a subscription to Toyota Information, so we just go on there whenever we need the info. Yeah, to get the timing cover off head and both oil pans. I've heard rumor that you can do it without pulling the head, but I would be really hesitant to do that because you're going to be slipping the timing cover back under and trying to like glue the seal back on the timing cover. And there's a really good chance that you're going to end up with a leak doing that way because something got smeared putting it all back together. The oil pan can come off in the truck. You've got to lift the engine up a little bit, like an inch or two, to get it to clear that reinforcing brace that's coming down by the panhard rod. And I think I dropped the sway bar out of my way. You can do it. It is not fun. I've only done it that way once. The other 2 times we've done it, we pulled the engine out and did it on the stand. And it seemed way easier to pull the engine and do it outside the truck. And thanks for the $2, John. I really appreciate it. It's always awesome when people hit the little money button, because that goes straight in the Shady 80 fund. Yeah, if you're going to do the valve guide seals, I would definitely pull the head. And sorry, I was texting my wife. Yeah, the oil pan arch seal. The oil pan arch seal you can do without pulling the oil pan, but you've got to pull the transmission to get it there, or to get to it. And I have never watched 24 Hours of Le Mans. I have a friend that races 24 Hours of Lemons, though. I always forget that Trollhole's got all the service manuals linked. Hello. Oh, and I was going to mention, if you go in as far as doing the timing cover and you're getting the Toyota, FIPG sealer, pick up 2 tubes of the black. One tube will just barely get you the timing cover and both oil pans. If you're very, very, very thrifty with it. So I would have a second one on hand. I just did it today and was like squeezing the last little bit out of the tube to get it all done. Cool. And we'll catch you later, Zach. Good luck on the trip. Yeah, you're likely totally fine with one tube, but as cheap as it is, it's good to have around as extra insurance. You're gonna need to evacuate the AC system before you pull the lines. Otherwise, if you don't, you're gonna get spattered with refrigerant oil. So, likely, take it to a shop, have them recover what's in it. And then once you replace the lines, have them vacuum it all down to get rid of moisture and air, and then recharge it. Compression test on the 1FZ, you pull the spark plugs, thread in the compression tester, hold the throttle open. Oh, pull the fuel pump fuse. Hold the throttle open, crank the engine, read the compression. Compression testing gives you a quick and dirty measurement of cylinder sealing. I much prefer doing a leak down test where you roll the engine over to top dead center of whatever cylinder you're checking, and then you pump compressed air into the engine, and there's 2 gauges, and it shows you the leakage rate. So it shows you how well the cylinder's sealing, but you can also hear where the air is going. So you can hear it, going out the intake valves, exhaust valves, past the pistons. So it's a much more well-rounded test to do the leak down test. Ethanol-free fuel. In the more modern stuff, like 80 series and 62 and newer, like the fuel-injected stuff, the ethanol isn't terrible as long as it stays dry. If you get water in your gas tank, it's horrible because it jellies. In the older stuff, the ethanol eats the carburetors. Like I run ethanol-free fuel in my lawnmower and my weed eater, all that jazz. And the mower runs much better on the ethanol-free. Ethanol is less energy dense than regular gasoline. So, you may get a little bit of power benefit, but it's more that ethanol is corrosive and it loves to soak up water, and it turns into a jelly. Um, I have never dealt with the strawberry milkshake syndrome. I would be very, very leery of running diesel fuel through the transmission. If anything, um, if anything, you could, you know, run multiple flushes of, regular transmission fluid through it, which may help. It's hard to say. We don't do much with the auto trannies other than just drain and fills, so I've never messed with that. And triad, you're actually looking for the AC evaporator. The condenser is the one in front of the radiator, and the evaporator is in the middle behind the dash. So not easy to get to. Well, actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think it is in the middle. I've only had one out once. And if I recall correctly, the whole dash comes out to get to it. I know the whole dash comes out to get to the heater core, and I'm pretty sure the AC evaporator is right next to it. I've had good luck in the past with using an ozone generator. It's a little box that makes, an electric arc that makes ozone. So you put that, put it in the truck with the fan running, close all the doors, and you let it go for like an hour or so. So it's best to put a battery charger on so that you don't run the battery dead running the fan without the engine running. But if you fill the truck up with ozone and it circulates through the AC system, a lot of times that'll kill the musty smell. And when you do finally open the doors to turn everything off, open them in an open area, because the ozone that rolls out of there will burn your throat, burn your eyes. It's terrible. So you definitely want to air out the truck in an open area when you're done. But I have seen the ozone generators take some nasty, nasty smells out of things. And, instead of like masking the odor, it actually kills the bacteria that are causing the odor. So it's like it's a lasting repair. And they've actually come down in price. I was looking at them on Amazon. The Shady 80 smells disgusting. So I'm likely going to get an ozone generator to get the stink out of it. I had a really cheap one, but when we moved, it got crunched. So it's not good anymore. Yeah, with the Lysol, I doubt you're getting far enough in to actually get to where the funk's growing, which is why you do it with the HVAC fan running, so it pulls the ozone through the entire system. And that is a good tip, to check the evap drain to make sure that it's actually draining, because otherwise you could be having just a nasty cesspool pond growing down under the box, or in the bottom of the box. Oh, if you've got stink bomb recommendations, I'm all for it. I was leaning towards actually buying the generator because we run through people with water leaks, coming through the shop, and it would be nice to get rid of the mustiness from those too. So I figured, I'd use the ozone generator more than just on mine. But if you've got a bomb that works, I'm all ears. Hey, what's happening? On Cressiders are sweet. I need a Cressida in my life. So the evaporator drain, trying to think, on 100 series, it pops through the firewall. Passenger side footwell, like you can kind of see it from the inside. It'll be the little pipe looking thing that pokes towards the firewall from underneath. And then if you look straight up from the frame bracket on the passenger side sway bar, you can see the actual drain up above. And the 80 series is round about the same place. It comes out the firewall on the passenger side. Yeah, ozone is awesome, except for when you breathe it. And very cool that we've got a fan all the way from Greece. It's crazy how far the YouTube channel goes. I'm amazed that like the people that tune in from all over the world. We were in Portugal a couple of months ago, and I was posting pictures on the OTRAM Instagram, and there was a guy that was like that followed the YouTube channel and our Instagram, and he was like 10 minutes away from where we were staying, which was crazy. You know, we were on the other side of the ocean and ran into somebody that knew us, which was very cool. Cool. I'll definitely have to check that out. And I'm going to write it down before I forget what it was, and then I have to come back through there and look for it. Biocide systems. Yeah, if it works in the shady 80, it's got to be good stuff because it smells like multiple things have died in my 80. And maybe multiple things are still living in my 80. Oh, I would look inside the timing cover for the keyway, or for the actual key. One time I had it fall off. It fell off when I was putting the crank back on, but I bumped it and it fell down right into the front of the timing cover, and I was able to fish it out with a magnet. Because I would assume if it had been like actually missing for a while, that you would have had like crank slipping, with the alternator and the AC. I could be wrong though, because with that bolt that tight, it may not have slipped. But you can get that key from Toyota, because I've had to order them for other trucks when I misplaced one. Everybody wants to know about the Shady 80. The Shady 80 is in a state of suspended animation. We've been so swamped that I haven't had time to touch it, um, other than pulling it in to make sure that the lift would work where we were putting the new lift in the shop. Yeah, Shady 80 is just hanging out. And thanks, GWW. I appreciate it. And yeah, if I'm trying to think, because I've got a timing cover, I've got a front pulley off right now. I don't think there's a whole lot of room for the key to hide in there, because it's really snug the way the timing cover fits around the chain right there. So if it wasn't readily magnetable, I would assume it's actually missing. But I would like really, really search for it, because if it is rattling around and loose in there and it gets, caught up in something, that could be very bad news. I don't know how to put pictures in the comments on here. There's a couple of pictures of the Shady 80 on our Instagram. If you just look through for the ugliest cruiser on there, that's the Shady 80. Yeah, we've been so swamped with everything that's come through lately has been like really big jobs. Like, it's been nothing but pulling motors lately. Pulling motors and getting the new side of the shop set up. So yeah, there's been no time for the Shady 80, and most of the extra shop funds have been going to setting up the new side. Yeah, 96 and 97 are very, very close. The only thing that might change is wiring colors. And for gasket sealant for the diffs, I usually use the orange Toyota FIPG. They make one that's for transmissions. Transmissions and transfer cases. I can't remember the part number on it, but it's the orange form and place gasket maker. So that's what we usually use. Yeah, I've done a couple of H55F swaps on a 62. And we did pretty close to that. The FJ40 that I'm just finishing up this week, we put a 3FE H55F and split case in it, and the 3FE and the split case came out of an FJ62. I do need to get back down to G-Smitter. I'd be happy with legally getting the Shady 80 out of the parking lot for a drive right now. It won't even pass state inspection as it sits. And how did you get the key all the way back to the main bearing. That had to be a hell of a fishing expedition to get that back out. I'm trying to think if we cut a hole or not. For the life of me, I can't remember what we did with the trans tunnel. Yeah, I do not remember. It's been forever since I've done the full swap in a 62. I've had several apart since then, but didn't have to modify, like they'd already been installed, so I didn't change anything inside. God, it's been a good 10 years since I actually did the full swap. I don't remember. I want to say it's a bolt-in floor plate that makes up the difference, but I'm not positive. There's got to be an I Hate Mud thread on it, though. that gives a full breakdown. There's an I Hate Mud thread for everything you could possibly want to do. Yeah, luckily, the county we live in doesn't do emissions, so all I have to do is pass safety. And at this point, all I really need to fix to pass safety is the front wheel bearings, but I'm going to do knuckles and burfs and everything at the same time. So I just haven't gotten around to it. I might be able to do it super ghetto and just snug the wheel bearings up enough to pass inspection so I could start driving it. But I haven't had time to even pull it into the shop to do that. The 80 series is a pretty easy truck to get into. 95, 96, 97 are my favorites because they're OBD2, so you can watch live data on a scan tool, so it makes them easier to diagnose. And they're pretty bulletproof, and it's regular maintenance. Usually, like not a ton of surprises. I mean, there's always some that pop up, but usually it's just regular maintenance, which we've got videos for most all of it now. So yeah, the 80 series is a good truck to get into. And my wheeling rig was an 87 4Runner that I got bored with, cut 5 feet out of the middle. So I shortened it up. So it was basically an extended cab pickup. Extended cab pickup with a power back window. Dual cases, 470s in the back case on 80 series axles, 3 linked front and back with 529s, ARB in the front, and just a welded rear. Super fun truck. And I still have it. It just doesn't currently really run. It needs brake calipers and tires and wheels. It's like rolling on a set of 235s right now. Any tips on removing a stubborn brake line? I like to soak them with Freol and let it sit, and then a really, really good flare nut wrench. Snap-on or Mac. Nice flare nut wrench that'll keep it from rounding. Occasionally, I'll put a little heat on. You got to be really careful throwing heat at brake line fittings because you can expand the brake fluid enough to pop pistons and stuff like that. Passenger truck is leaning to passenger after accident to front passenger fender. I would check the suspension, check springs, check the frame. If it's leaning, best case scenario, you've, busted a spring. Worst case, you've bent the frame. Yeah, it's hard to tell without seeing it, but leaning after an accident is never a good thing. And yeah, the 4Runner, it was, I guess it still is a built truck. It's very archaic by today's standards of crawling. But it was a fun truck considering I built most of it like God, almost 20 years ago. It's been forever since I cut it in half. Yeah, I usually use my breaker bars probably 30 inches or so, and then I'll throw a jack handle on it for some extra oomph, and be prepared to break your breaker bar. I've broken my share. Snap-on actually has a new, really big, really burly 3/4 inch breaker bar that I've been contemplating getting, but it's like a $200 breaker bar. So I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. For the really stubborn ones, we've got a torque multiplier. It's like a gear set that you put a holder rod against it, and then it multiplies, whatever you crank into it by 4. So that'll usually loosen them up or wring the socket off. We usually do it hood on. The only reason we usually pull the hoods when we're pulling the motor, like my big 3/4 inch torque wrench barely fits under the hood, but it will. So yeah, hood on and a lot of leverage. Sometimes they are stuck. Just a minute. It's almost time. Yeah. I don't know what it's made out of, but yeah. They had a new digital 3/8 drive torque wrench that was like slimline that was on the truck last week. And it was super awesome looking. And I made the mistake of asking how much, and I think it was on sale for like $670, which was like, whoo, I don't need that much. I'll stick with my non-slimline digital. But yeah, a good half-inch ratchet from Snap-on or Matco, any of the big ones, yeah, is $200 nowadays. Even the little quarter-inch drive ratchets are like $1.50, $1.60 now. Tools are way too expensive. Some random dude on a Segway just came up my driveway and to the front door. Have no idea what that was all about. The big 300 foot-pound torque wrench is Precision Instruments, I believe. On our website, on the videos page, there's a link to it, but I'm pretty sure it's Precision Instruments. And I just bought the half-inch drive, smaller version of it, because my Matco clicker that we use for tires and wheels finally died. And it was cheaper to buy the Precision Instruments than it was to get my Matco one repaired. And Precision Instruments is who makes the Snap-on ones. So it's like a Snap-on torque wrench without the insane price. And yeah, the dogs always know what time it is. 7 o'clock is their dinner time. So they're just sitting here waiting. And that should work. That's the link I just pulled off our website for the one on Amazon. And that one, I think it goes up to 600. It wasn't cheap, but it was horrible. I think it's like $300. Yeah, having Snap-on friends is a very good thing. Yeah, it's nice. The Snap-on guy that I was buddies with retired, but I still talk to our local Matco guy fairly regularly, and it's really nice when you're buddies with them and you can text them on the weekend and run out to their house and get a tool. And I'm not sure what's going on with our internet, but it looks like I keep going all fuzzy and cutting in and out. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here for the evening because I've still got to do my run for the day because I slacked off and didn't do it this morning before before work. So yeah, I'm gonna jump off here, get the dogs dinner, and then go for a run. But it's next Tuesday. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Thanks to everybody that subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe below. And if you really dig the channel, check out our Patreon link down in the description. And I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.